Today we're going to talk about cloud computing, and most people have a lot of questions about what cloud computing is. So there was a conference called the Web 2.0 conference, and people were discussing cloud computing, so I wanted you to see this video, and I'm going to make it as large a screen as possible so you can see it. And in order to do that, we have to start the video first.
Just by the way, does it have a website so we can see it?
I'm going to send you the links to all of this.
Great.
All right, then you'll be able to watch it when you get home. All right, now I understand that the speakers are working here. Let's see if we're connected here.
I'm going to put
Are we connected to the internet?
You connected
to... working, Paula?
All right, everything is...
ACAPnews.com.
Hi, I'm Tim O'Reilly. I'm the founder and CEO of O'Reilly Media.
Jay Cross. I do all kinds of things. You can find me at jcross.com.
All right, I am Brian Solis with FutureWorks, PR2O, and Bubblicious.
So I'm a developer at Google on Open Social.
Hi, so I'm Steve Gilmore. I'm the ringleader of the Gilmore Gang.
Johnny Tanner out of Boulder, Colorado, consultant and party crasher.
Hello, my name is Matt Mullet. I'm co-founder of WordPress and founder of Automatic.
The question is, what is cloud computing?
I don't care what's up there, just so long as it works. So I've got a way to plug into this amazing set of connections and computing and other things.
You answer the question, what is cloud computing?
If there are zillion connections between me and somebody else on the other end, I'm still happy, because I don't have to mess with this stuff in the middle.
Yeah. Pretty exciting stuff. It's pretty much the only thing that's really going on now, right?
So you asked me what I think cloud computing is. The idea of cloud computing comes from the early days of the internet, where we drew the network as a cloud. So we didn't care where the messages went. They go in one side and come out the other, and the cloud hid it from us. So that meant we didn't need to think about routing, didn't need to think about networks. So we had a cloud around packets. The next evolution was we had the World Wide Web, which gave us a cloud around documents. You could put a URL in, you get a document anywhere in the world, you know where it was, and you could serve as equally be anywhere. That was again very free. You don't start without caring where stuff was. Part of the goal of Open Social and the other social initiatives we're doing at Google is to create a social cloud, a cloud around social interaction, so that you can have the same abstractions of programming, that you can ask the environment, you can ask the cloud, who are the user's friends, what's the user's profile, what are their activities, and get that back. I don't have to worry about where that's stored or who's owning it. So in each of these cases, when you have these abstractions, when you have a cloud, you start out drawing, my generation draws the network as a cloud, but the younger generation, they don't see the cloud. It's like air for them. There's nothing there at all. So what we expect to see as we put a cloud around social computing, that it will become invisible, it will permeate everywhere on the web, and it won't be a special place you have to go to. It must be part of the web.
To me, cloud computing is simply the notion that right now you can use the internet, you can use the cloud to store a lot of data and applications and other things, and I think increasingly things will be moving to the cloud. But we have three platforms. We have the desktop, we have mobile devices, and the cloud. All of them are somehow part of the scenarios that people use every day, but as I said, increasingly things will start leaning toward the cloud, where when there's enough bandwidth, reliability, security, and all those other issues people talk about, there won't be a notion of being a cloud. It'll simply be, just as people have said, or as Nick Carr has said in the big switch, it's just like serving up electricity. We'll be serving up data, applications, and even writing those applications directly to the cloud.
Everything I know about cloud computing, I learned from James Governor of Redmunk. He wrote a really awesome post about it and described it, and he basically said if you need software, it's not cloud computing. If you need hardware, beyond your laptop, it's not cloud computing. So basically all of the activity you want to do should take place on a remote server elsewhere, and all you should need is an internet connection. That's what I think cloud computing is. I hope I didn't bastardize it.
Hi. I'm Tom McGovern, CEO of Snap.com. What is cloud computing? Cloud computing is being able to sleep at night knowing that your servers won't go down. Being able to know that your operations person can actually go on vacation. Cloud computing is a lot more sense of being able to have a balance between your work life and professional life for your team.
Both very well for startups being able to implement ideas at a very early stage without really having to concern themselves with scaling up.
And cloud computing is a bit like liquid paper, I guess, which is that liquid paper kind of covers up mistakes, and I think a lot of the pain that comes associated with installing software or connecting with other people because they have to have what you have, when all you really want to do is connect and get work done. I think that's kind of the way I think of cloud computing, right? So it really solves that problem, and it kind of paints over some of what people really already are expecting, which is, hey, I just want to get this app running, I want to find other people, I want to get work done, I want to socialize, and I don't want to have to install a bunch of stuff, and I don't want to have to make sure everybody has the same version running or anything else. So that's the way I think of cloud computing.
Computing really is. It's me on an airplane with a notebook, 30,000 feet, working in the cloud.
Somebody's
in an airplane. That's cloud computing.
I've looked at clouds from both sides now.
Hi, I'm Tim O'Reilly. I'm the founder and CEO of O'Reilly Media, and probably the person most associated with the term Web 2.0. We're here at the Web 2.0 Expo, and you guys want to know what cloud computing is. I think it's one of the foundations of the next generation of computing, which I've been calling Web 2.0. One of the big things that we're moving towards is this world in which the network, conceived in the way we originally talked about the internet, as the network of networks, really is the platform for all computing. As I said in my keynote yesterday, I really been focused on this idea for many years. In 2001, we had Clay Shirky talking at our P2P and Web Services conference, and I thought he had a great description of cloud computing back then. He said, Thomas Watson once famously said that he saw no need for more than 5 computers in the world. We now know that he was wrong. And everybody, of course, cracks up because they think of the hundreds of millions of PCs, and then Clay hit them with the punchline. He overstated the number by 4. Right? So effectively, everything that we think of as a computer today is really just a device that connects to the big computer that we're all collectively building. And so cloud computing is really the movement of computing into this network of all connected devices, this network of networks. And that's every layer of computing. And this is a basic functionality like virtualization. There's also new data layers, for example. A lot of what I've talked about in Web 2.0 is how we're starting to build data subsystems. And the subsystems of the so-called Internet Operating System won't just be access to devices, but they may be accesses to classes of data, location, identity. And we need to start thinking about these things as system services. And cloud computing is a great way to think about how we're going to be delivering computing services in the future.
In fact, I actually wrote a post this week where I sort of bemoaned the fact that the operating systems that we all use on our PCs are really based in the pre-cloud era. They're based on the understanding that your PC isn't connected all the time to the web, and as a result, the way that we deal with things on the web, the things we deal with, the way we deal with things locally to our computers are sort of extremely different. And I actually proposed that it's time for a new operating system.
Cloud computing to me means scaling on demand.
Cloud computing? You're trying to trick me. That's one of those catch questions.
I don't know. City in the Sky, perhaps? Is there a Harlan Ellison novel by that name of some sort?
So you've got applications running on the desktop, very thin, very light, all the hard work takes place somewhere else. Advantages, well, obviously you can just run, you can just go.
And to us, cloud computing is more about the ability to sort of for developers not to worry about things, which is the idea actually behind the name Automatic was to remove all friction from developers and have to help abstract out business concerns and scaling concerns and everything like that. But on the computational side, we're still not there, right? We still have to think about how tables are structured, how we're querying things, and how we're going to scale up web, how much network and space and electricity we have, and all this crap. And ideally, it should just be like cameras in the cloud, perfect, happy. So someday, I hope we'll be there.
Cloud computing is you've got cloud A, and then and you've got cloud beat, and there's storms and rain and all of these sorts of things, and the lightning goes between the clouds, between them. And in that molten lightning, you can get 1 teraflops of information. That is cloud computing.
Cloud computing, I think it's a way to deliver services rather than applications, completely independent of platforms, completely independent of physical hardware. And I hope it works.
So what's cloud computing? Is it scale on demand? Is it not having to worry about your servers being up? Maybe it's being able to run with your big idea. I think the more important question isn't so much what is cloud computing, but instead, now that it's here, what are you going to build?
Okay, the reason excuse me, you mind? Okay. The reason I showed that video first is because I'm sure you will have questions about cloud computing, but I'm going to show you a few more videos that will go into a little more detail. Because there are 2 things that you need to know. The first thing is how it affects you as somebody who uses the computers and the internet, because everything is going to be based on the internet. We're going to be transitioning from applications that are on your computer to applications that are already on the internet. So basically, that's what cloud computing is, and we're gradually, as an internet community, we're building it. It's being built as we speak. And I'm going to show you the next
Barbara, can you answer some questions?
Afterwards, I'm going to answer.
The thing is, we don't want to watch bad
Well,
video.
you got
no choice. We couldn't project it, so we'd have to bear with the jerry rig. Sorry. Try when you're showing the video. If you can turn the computer this way more, so it'll be on the screen. On the.
You can't see or hear it anyway. What difference?
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. One more. Hold on.
That's what we need. We need some cats here.
So it's not pie in the sky.
No, I think not. I think it's real.
What it is the end of your freedom.
End of freedom.
You're going to be
I don't know if it's
only
the end of
fed
your freedom.
stuff that they want you to have, and they're going to bet.
Make it full screen. And
I'm Dan Farber, editor-in-chief at cnetnews.com.
Wait a minute, that's the one that you already saw. That video is called what is cloud computing? This is very difficult to do under these circumstances.
Mm-hmm. This isn't the same as autonomic computing?
Well, that's part of it, but how does it become autonomic? And you're going to find out about that.
What is this one called? The other one was cloud computing. What's the name of this?
I'll tell you as soon as I load it, because I only have the link, I don't have the title on it.
Oh, okay.
Nothing works here. My mouse is not working.
Oh, I love it. Slumdog. One of the better ones. in the cloud.
Hide my head in the cloud. Okay.
You're going to show 2 more, is that it, Barbara?
Yeah, a couple more. All right, here we go.
Here we go, she says, so maybe it'll come. Okay. Put up the volume as high as you can and full screen.
Cloud computing is all the hype right now.
And
but what does
full
it really
volume.
mean?
Turn it this way a little bit, honey, for the camera, please.
There. Or on a plane with a laptop? Does it work when it's sunny? You actually type on a cloud computing keyboard? Cloud computing is pretty big. It's growing bigger every day. There are basically 3 layers to cloud computing. Companies use them differently based on what they offer. At the bottom is the foundation, the infrastructure. This is where things start and where people begin to build. This is the layer where cloud hosting lives. So let's talk about hosting in the cloud, which is an older concept that, due to technology advances, is finally starting to work really well. Let's say you are a company and you have a website. And the website has a lot of short conversations that are exchanged between members. You start with a few users talking to each other, and they start telling their friends about your site. And they tell their friends, and the friends tell their friends, and so on. You are successful. But with success can come problems. Your equipment just can't keep up with the demand. Your service slows down, and suddenly you are in trouble. A few years ago, you would have put your website on a computer or server somewhere. And when your success kicked in, you had to run around and buy or rent new servers, set them up, or have someone set them up for you. Hundreds of thousands of companies do this now. It costs a lot of money, and it takes lots of time. This is called hosting. It takes time to set them up, and they cost quite a bit of money to keep running all the time. You pay for these servers when you are using them, and you pay for them when you are not using them. You really just want to build your service and improve your product. But instead of success, your customers are getting angry, and your successful business is shrinking away. Now you have a better option, cloud computing. With cloud computing, you have access to computing power instantly when you need it. Put your website on a cloud server just like you would put it on a dedicated server. And when people start visiting your site, if you suddenly need more computing power dedicated to your website, you can scale up as much as you need almost instantly. You get your computing power as you need it from the cloud, on demand. And your customers stay happy without noticing any difference. And if your traffic dips back down, you can release your servers back into the cloud just as easily. This is a major advantage, so I'll say it again. When you need more computing power, you can get it instantly from the cloud. And when you're done with it, you release it back to the cloud. Billing is easy too. It works the same way you pay for gas or electricity. When you turn on a light, the meter starts running, and you are billed for the electrical power that you take from the power grid. And when you're done with the light, you turn it off, and the meter stops running. Or you can think of it like getting a taxi. The meter runs when you ride, it runs much slower when you stop, and when you're done with your ride, you get out and you pay your fare. Why buy the whole taxi when you can just pay for the trip? But wait, how do you actually work with the cloud? You can't physically touch your hardware. Easy, using your own personal computer. You remotely access your cloud server and control it. You can put whatever you need on it, website or software or code, whatever, and then just disconnect it when you are done. You never actually touch it physically. The key with cloud computing is not to focus on the hardware. You just focus on your website, or your software or code or whatever it is you're doing. Think of it like you would any cloud service. Do you really care where, on what physical server your email is hosted?
Notice the
Isn't it
names.
vastly more important how the service works and that it's reliable and stable and easy to use?
Gmail, Netflix.
Here are 3 reasons why cloud hosting is becoming so popular.
No, we don't.
1, scalability. It's easy to grow or shrink to match your demand. If you need 1, 2, or 10 servers, with cloud hosting you can easily grow or shrink the number based on what you need right now. 2, cloud hosting is instant. The computing power is there when you need it. You just turn it on. Whatever you need is instantly available in the cloud. And when your need goes down, you can simply turn them off. 3. Save money. You only pay for what you use, and not for having equipment sit around just in case you might need it. With cloud hosting, you can stop worrying about your hardware. You can work on building your business instead. Using cloud hosting will save you time and money, and it's there for you to use instantly. So dump those old servers and head to the clouds. This has been Cloud Computing by Tim and Michael at GoGrid.
Now,
are you going to go instantly to the third one now?
That was a better video. If the other one's like the other one.
Wait a minute.
No, they're all different. These are all not from the same people, okay?
Are you going to do one more then?
I'm gonna do more because you need to understand how this works. Because that's the future of the internet. This is the direction that it's going.
Yeah, but specifically, are you going to talk to us as you're doing that? Or?
All right, I have them in order for a reason.
Okay, and there's one more or two more?
There are two more.
Okay, you want to talk about what they are as you pull them up, or is that
as we're going along? Because most of these are self-explanatory.
So Barbara, it will be like Con Edison.
Well, in a way.
Do it. Good.
I'll explain.
Better than Con
Edison. Well, you know what they say, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't Con Edison.
Not as good as bad as. In other words, a big rip-off.
That's exactly what it is. All right, so this next video...
Ready to go? Okay.
This next video you will see. This is another explanation.
Make it whole screen.
I'm going to do that right now. This is from one of the companies that provides cloud computing.
Turn your computer this way a little if you can.
This
Thanks.
is from one of the companies
to another
who
video
provide
from explainingcomputers.com. This time, I'm going to talk about cloud computing. This is where data, software applications, or computer processing power are accessed from a cloud of online
that's good.
resources.
Thanks.
This permits individual users to access their data and applications from any device, as well as allowing organizations
if you can
to
tilt
reduce
it
their
back a
capital
little,
costs
just a little
by
back.
purchasing software and hardware
That's better.
as a utility service. Cloud computing is closely associated with Web 2.0. In particular, a key element of both trends is the emergence of online applications known as software as a service, or SaaS. Commercial software as a service includes Clarison's online project management tool, as well as customer relationship management and human resource applications offered by Salesforce employees and Zoho. A number of online office applications are now also available and include Google Docs, List, and SlideRocket. These allow anybody to create or upload documents into their online cloud and then to work on them using any kind of computing device with an internet connection. In addition to software as a service, cloud computing also includes the development of hardware as a service, or HSAS. This is where computer processing capacity is purchased over the web. Amazon, for example, now offer a web service called Elastic Compute Cloud, or EC2. This allows users to purchase computer processing power online and on the basis of the processor cores, storage, and data transfer they require in each instance. Google has also launched a similar service called App Engine, and which permits developers to run web applications on Google's infrastructure. Hardware as a service can offer many advantages. Amazon, for example, highlights how EC2 is elastic because it allows users to increase or decrease their hardware requirements within minutes. Flexible, because users can choose the specification of each individual instance of computing power purchased. Inexpensive, as no dedicated capital investment is required. And reliable, as EC2 makes use of Amazon's proven data centers.
So you only use what you need.
Okay.
Nothing more.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the new.
You want this new electricity? Okay. Keep going.
Come on, I have another video, and then I'm going to give you a demonstration.
It's recorded.
At that time, companies stopped having to produce their own power and instead plugged in to a national electricity grid. In the same way, individuals and organisations can now connect to a cloud of computing resources to fuel their information activities, rather than having to install software to run on their own hardware. It is therefore perhaps hardly surprising that cloud computing is also being referred to as utility computing. Linked to this trend, some new low-power, low-cost devices, such as the Asus EPC and the EverX Cloudbook, are also starting to be referred to as computing appliances. This is because they're intended to be used out of the box to access the emerging clouded utility computing services, with no user software installation being required. Cloud computing may signal a return to an age of centralization, with data, applications, and processing power largely remote from a user interface device. However, there are also significant differences from the previous mainframe era. For a start, cloud computing is levelling the playing field by bringing the potential benefits of centralized resources to all sizes of business. Any company, and indeed anybody, can now connect to software or hardware as an online utility. This means that fewer companies now have to invest in a large-scale computing infrastructure. In addition, over the next few years, fewer individual users will be tied to a particular device when they want to access their data and applications. In tandem with Web 2.0, cloud computing has the potential to change the face of the entire computing industry. Amazon, Google, IBM, and others have already embraced the cloud computing revolution. However, companies like Microsoft now face an increasing challenge if they want to continue to sell as software to run on local hardware. For more information on this topic, you might want to look at my video on explaining Web 2.0. But that's it for this time, and I hope to talk to you again very soon.
Is this straight into the next one?
I'm going to go right into the next one.
Okay, get them all out and then you can talk to us, please.
What's that?
She's going to give us the links.
I'm going to email you.
Yes, okay,
the links
do
to
it.
all of them.
Do it. Get your video going. We'll get that done, and then it's interesting.
Well, I'm going to show you after all of this that you've already been using it, and you don't need to
Okay,
realize.
okay, good. It's interesting. And when we're all computing in the clouds, we won't have these delays, right? And the projectors are going to work in sequence order right off the cloud, and everything's going to be just autonomic. And I don't know.
Well, you've already been using it.
Do your thing, honey. See. All right.
This is Web 2.0.
Okay, make it big screen.
I'm doing it.
Okay.
I don't need. All right.
No, but for the camera.
All right. Take it easy.
Okay.
Welcome.
Oh, that's the last one. Sorry.
All right. All right. Better it's dazzle gradually. It's coming and everything.
Come on, just give me a chance.
I know
to
it's
do
hard because it's dark. You want some light to help you do it?
dark.
Does that help?
Yeah, that does help.
Okay, good. Now get your thing done. Get it set up, and then we'll get the last of the videos. And
Harold,
then we can talk.
Harold, I know what I'm doing here.
I
Just
know
give me
you do.
Give me a break.
This is a test. This is only a test.
And no chewing at the back of the gum in the back of the room.
How many mental breakdowns occur every day in America by people frustrated with their computers?
Well, one here. Here's one.
here.
Yeah.
This theoretically would eliminate a lot of that, maybe.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping.
IBM
IBM has a manifesto up on their site. Research is called autonomic computing.
Right. Well,
And
that's
it's been up there for
basically what
quite
this
a while. And it's a manifesto. They said if they don't, it's going to just be, there's going to be nothing but IT professionals everywhere. And it's going to be impossible. But it's a major manifesto by the major players in the world. It's been up about 4 years. It's still up. On the IBM research page.
The very first IT professional was the IT girl.
Was what? The IT girl? Yeah, right, okay. Smart ass. That's all New York needs is another smart ass. Yeah.
Whatever happened to her?
Of course it was terrible.
She went up to the cloud.
She's floating around
She
now.
disappeared into a cloud.
Did you get all that, Jason?
Yeah.
I think it's important, don't you? How many thinks it's important, this thing she's doing?
like
I think
it-
it's
I
important.
feel like
Yeah,
it have
yeah, it really
But
is.
you need to know where the future of the computer industry is going.
Good,
You
get
know-
your thing
Excuse me, can I talk?
Yes.
All right. When you get a computer, you're going to get nothing on it, and you'll just have access to the web, and all the applications are going to be on the web. So you won't have to have software. Originally, Microsoft had, was selling computers, and they said, "Oh, it's loaded with all this software, and you should be so happy because we're giving you a lot of junk you don't need." But now you're using things that you only need rather than things that, they say, oh, you really have to have this software. So when you go on the web and you go to a site like MySpace or Facebook, that whole thing is server-side run. So you don't have to have a special software in order to run it. YouTube, that's one of the biggest examples of cloud computing. Say, how can you fit all those videos? How could you fit all those applications onto a server, onto a system? Can you close this?
I know, they won't stop talking.
Yo! This has been very difficult.
Of course it has, but do you want to give us the last thing now? And then you can talk to us after and we'll get the lights right and make it right. Because this is the most important, because it's going out on the internet to the whole wide world and beyond.
Into the cloud.
Into the cloud.
Why am I getting that? All right, let me get to the next one.
What happens when they say, "Hey, you get off of my cloud"?
You're banned from the internet. Oh, those artists are always ahead of their time. They are the antenna of the race, yeah. Have you got it now?
Oh, it's the same people.
It's a different clip, though, right?
Music 101.
Welcome to another video from Explaining Computing.
Is this different?
There he's back.
This time, I'm going to talk about internet developments known as Web 2.0. Defining exactly what is meant by Web 2 is about as difficult as nailing a jelly to a wall. That said, most people agree that Web 2 involves making new and improved forms of online connection between two or more people, between two or more online services, or between individual users and software applications. Identifying these three types of connection also enables us to isolate the three key aspects of Web 2 as being interpersonal computing, web services, and software as a service. Interpersonal computing is about using online technology to connect people to each other in social networks or business teams. The key interpersonal computing aspects of Web 2 are therefore things like social networking sites, wikis, blogs, and online video. Examples of these include Facebook and MySpace for social networking, Wikipedia, blog creation sites like Blogger, and video posts including Kaltura and YouTube. All of these sites allow anybody to add as well as to access content, to leave messages and comments, and to exchange digital media, including photographs and video. services are components of online functionality that can be plugged together like a kind of digital Lego in order to create an integrated online offering or mashup. For example, many companies use the web service of a payment service provider, such as WorldPay or PayPal, in order to allow them to easily take credit card payments online.
I use that a lot.
This results in customers interacting with two organisations that are automatically interlinked via the internet. As another common example, web services are also frequently mashed together to integrate and map and related data from one website into another. For example, the property website Rightmove integrates local information from About My Place, which in turn obtains its maps from Microsoft Virtual Earth. And as a third simple illustration, anybody can cut and paste a YouTube video embed link to create a web page that is drawing content from two sources, and with YouTube here providing a web service of video hosting. The final key aspect of Web 2 is Software as a Service, or SaaS. This involves application functionality being offered directly over the internet. In turn, user data and applications can then be accessed from any internet-enabled computing device. For some years, human resources and project management applications have been successfully offered over the internet by companies including Employees and Clarion. However, online replacements for personal desktop applications are now also available. For example, Google Docs is an online word processing, spreadsheet and presentation package
I use that
available
a lot.
for free.
You don't need to buy a word processing program.
As an alternative, Zoho also offers a Microsoft Office compatible set of online applications, together with tools for project management and other business functions. As yet another example, Juice has launched a free online desktop that also enables people to access their files from anywhere and to share them with others. Many people are still dismissing Web 2 as the latest marketing hype. However, this is probably only because they are unaware of the online service and application delivery aspects, and are hence mistaking the concept as being about no more than teenage social networking. However, in terms of both business and computing, over the next few years, Web 2 is likely to change the ways in which many companies will link together, as well as the means by which many of us will access our data and software applications. Not least, the purchase and installation of expensive standalone software is likely to reduce substantially, and in turn this will impact on existing key industry players like Microsoft. As Google and other Web 2 pioneers have shown, a new business model is becoming possible. This involves providing basic applications and services for free, and then charging a small minority of users for service support, customization, or association. One challenge ahead is to see how robust and more broadly applicable this Web 2 business model may be. As Web 2 takes hold, many companies will need to alter their online strategy. The old Web 1 business model was based around building a great website and just hoping that people would pay a visit. However, in the Web 2 age, it is known where most people go when they first log on, and this is to Web 2 sites such as MySpace, Facebook, or YouTube. Inhabiting these magnet cyber locations where customers are known to be, rather than just expecting people to pay a company's own website a visit, therefore has to become a key online strategy. Hopefully, this video has given you an improved understanding of Web 2 and its implications. For more information, please see the Web 2 pages of explainingcomputers.com. So that's it for another video, and I hope to talk to you again very soon.
That's it with the video?
That's it with the videos. That's a little shining in my eyes. What I wanted to explain is that Web 2.0 is how you get noticed on the web. People are not going to just visit your website. They have to be directed there. And these Web 2.0 sites are where the search engines seem to bring the traffic. And then from the Web 2.0 servers, it indexes your web page. So, that's how I've, relied on the industry to bring me traffic to my website. So if you have a product or service, you have to be listed with the Web 2.0 sites in order to get traffic to your website. The search engines are Web 2.0, and so they have to recognize your site. And in order to get listed, you have to be on the Web 2.0 sites in order to do it.
It's kind of like YouTube.
Exactly.
When YouTube first started, if you put a video up, you go right to the top of the search engines.
That's right.
But after you have 2 million hits, 5,000 coming in a day, they just cut you off at the knees.
Right. They put you in this
and
sandbox.
they disable your account. That's what happened to me. And you're out. So.
Try to speak up.
Well, it's always sort of a double-edged sword. I wouldn't be getting the popularity I had without YouTube. Somebody told me. If there's 1 million astrology websites up, but you're the one that has a video, you're going to go right to the top of those 1 million because Google at that time was pushing YouTube. So if you posted on YouTube, you got high. So I posted like crazy on YouTube. I've got 797 videos, but I've been disabled for violating community guidelines. One of them was for Carl Pearson and Joe Friendly having a very intelligent discussion about legalizing hemp oil to cure cancer. And Carl Pearson is a very savvy attorney, and his account was disabled the same day. Now, I could come back on my account, I would have 2 strikes, and 1 strike would be, the whole thing would be down within 6 months. So I'm choosing not even to log on to my YouTube account because it's a precious archive of my journey over 2 years. I have the files, but I really don't want to post it.
Well,
so I'm moving on to my own website. I'll have my own little sandbox, and I'll have, I'm just going to keep working on content.
That's why you can't rely on just one site to post your videos. You have to post it all over the internet. All right, and that's what I do for people for a living. But Web 2.0 sites are cropping up all over the place. Right now, there are literally dozens of video sharing sites on the internet. That's only video sharing sites. What about the other Web 2.0 sites like MySpace? If you don't have a page on MySpace, you're not really noticed. And you also have to, if you're looking for a job, you have to have your resume out there on all the job sharing sites or the job posting sites. LinkedIn is one of the most important sites that you could possibly be on. In fact, a lot of people found me on LinkedIn, and maybe a lot of people know that ACAP has a LinkedIn group that you could join, and this way you don't have to worry about not getting the emails that Harold sends out. Because the notices will be posted on the LinkedIn group and the ACAP group in LinkedIn. So you'll get the notices there. You won't get the attachments that you send, but there are ways to get the attachments out, and that's with another cloud computing site, which is Google Documents. It's an open source form of what Microsoft had put out, which is Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, but they're open source software. So in other words, the software is not on your computer, it's online on Google Documents. So you can actually create a document, store it there, and share it. Just send the link to someone else, and they will get it instead of sending email attachments. There's a disadvantage to sending email attachments, and that is it clogs up your clogs up your email box. So what are you going to do with all that stuff that's in your email box when eventually it gets full? That's why I don't use Outlook or Outlook Express on my computer. There's another reason why I don't use Outlook or Outlook Express on the computer is most of the viruses that are created on the internet are macros designed to get your computer, your email box to spam everybody else. So you're unwittingly sending out emails to, thousands of people who are in turn are sending it out to thousands of other people, and you don't even know that that's happening. So what I use Yahoo Mail, and Yahoo is another cloud computing site where I have imported and exported my address book from my computer onto their server, and they have an ever-expanding server too. So
Who was that who did that? Which site did that?
Yahoo.
Oh, Yahoo did that?
No, Yahoo is where I upload my address book to.
Right.
So you could export your entire address book from Outlook Express, which I
started that, yeah.
I started doing that for you.
Yeah, I was amazed at how much I got back.
Right. So we haven't even begun. But
connections with people that I didn't even
all-
know I was
all of
connected
these-
with,
and you were
and it was
getting all
really
these
good, old friends
duplicates,
and
too.
stuff.
You were getting all these.
That was
duplicates.
LinkedIn, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So you do want to be on LinkedIn. You do want to join the ACAP group on LinkedIn, and that's a very important site. I mean, if you're really looking for work or you want to be noticed in your field, you set up an online profile, which is good. And LinkedIn has two versions of it. The majority of people use the free version of it, but there is a paid version that lets you connect with a lot more people. So everybody's wondering what's going to happen with all this cloud computing stuff. Where's it going? I mean, why it's free now? How does it get? How do they pay for it? Well, there are two ways of paying for these cloud computing services. One of which is monetizing their sites with advertising. And I don't know if anybody who's been on the internet lately, but all over the internet you have ads all over the place. And people make money when you click on those ads. And, that's why people are creating all these sites. So, you would click on the ads and they would get the revenue from it. There's another way of monetizing these Web 2.0 sites, and that is paid membership, paying a monthly fee. And the direction that seems to be going is that people who want information or want to be able to use these services will pay, a monthly fee in order to use them. And, YouTube started out being free. But what they've done lately is they've taken the paid content providers, like these big networks, and they've given them priority over the average person's videos. Yeah. So that's basically what has happened.
What do you said? What do you mean priority?
In other words, their search. When you search for videos, they're going to put up, MSNBC's videos above yours.
But there was a big change really
You
recently.
mean when you search for a particular subject?
Exactly, they're going to show their stuff first. They're going to show MSNBC or CNN or any of these talk shows.
Because they're paying to be there.
Exactly, because they're paying to be there. So the U in YouTube is the U corporations rather than the U people.
There was a very dramatic shift. Alan was signed up for Google that he would put on his site, and I didn't want any ads on mine. He was getting $10 a day, and all of a sudden he got $5 a day. And on my site,
from AdSense?
Yeah, and
Google AdSense.
No,
right.
It's not AdSense.
It's another one like AdBright or one of those other companies.
So that same time, I noticed that my hits were going from 5,000 to 2,500, and it didn't add up because if you took the individual individual ones. It was just like really wacky.
So
So I started
thematically,
making
the
screenshots.
the
and
bigger
started-
people were getting more hits than off
Well, I
the
mean,
same subjects.
I was getting from DeAndrea, just from one video alone, 2,500 hits a day.
Really?
And she had subscribers, she had people interested in her and friends, and her, you know, and it was, and then I put the thing in sexual abuse, and then she came up. Now I started to drive traffic with that one because my niece, who would have been her daughter's age, came from college and interviewed her. It was such a moving interview. I was sweeping behind the switcher, and it was dead in the water. It was on my site with a couple hundred hits after 6 months, or after even a
But
year.
what Barbara is saying,
I linked it to DeAndrea, and I drove the traffic up to 15,000. But by YouTube
what's
disabling,
DeAndrea?
do you know DeAndrea?
You know DeAndrea.
She's a producer.
She's a producer
She
at
went to
M&S. She's
jail.
one of us. Yeah, she could have come
She went to jail
tonight.
for 3 years.
I don't know who she is.
She's telling
Oh, you will.
I'll tell you.
Well, I'm just saying, I
I'm
don't
going to
know.
tell you she is because her husband sexually abused her daughter, but her husband was more politically connected than she was. She went to jail for 3 years.
3 years, right?
And she's been a real fighter for court corruption, and she's, you know, she's a feature
All
that
right,
could
well,
only
let's
be
not
on
get, let's
M&S.
not get stuck on that. But I mean, what Barbara's saying is if you're on 200 of these Web 2.0 sites, if you're on all of these video sharing sites, for instance, and social community sites, then they can all drive traffic because they're all have search engines of their own.
Well, yes, but not as large as the one that's owned by Google, which is
Right.
YouTube. All right, that's why they paid $1.6 billion to buy YouTube.
1.8, I think.
Well, whatever.
Okay.
Somewhere-
Million here,
If
million
you're
there.
on, if you're on all these, if you're on Juiced, and
You want to be on
on
everywhere.
all of them, right?
You want to be on all of them, not just one.
But the question then becomes, how much are you giving away by being on all of them? Because many
What are
of
you
them,
giving? What are you
are
giving
you
away?
able to monetize all of them?
No. Your job is not to monetize them.
It's to drive traffic to your site.
Exactly. That's where, if you want to monetize your website, that's fine. But actually, some of those some of those Web 2.0 sites do allow you to monetize your video by putting ads in there, and you get a share of the revenue. But the percentage is so small, it's not even worth it to do it that way. Now, YouTube has a partnership agreement with certain sites, certain content providers, where you also get a share of the revenue. But in my estimation, they have it rigged. So,
Absolutely.
you know, I mean, it's all rigged. Now, that may be the direction that all the other Web 2.0 sites might be going. But for now, you really want to spread the link to your website all over the place, because the search engines recognize these sites as being a very high rank, and their page ranks are a lot higher than some of these little mom and pop websites. So you want to be on all of those websites.
And you don't have to, and you can, for instance, give away a little bit on all of these websites and drive traffic to your website where you give a lot more. So there's a reason
Exactly.
for people to go from there. That's just debate.
So my strategy that I use is to put video clips, because you really can't put more than 10 minutes on YouTube anymore unless you're grandfathered in. But why would you put more than that amount? I'm not talking to you personally.
Yeah.
I'm talking in generally. All right. Why would anybody want to put more than that when the attention span of most of the people who are on YouTube is maybe 2 minutes?
It's
the
2
most.
minutes by record.
Yeah, it's 2 minutes.
Well, it's also
you don't-
bandwidth, too.
Yeah, all right. But anyway, we're not focusing on you particularly. But we're talking about you in the general sense that we only want to put short clips on there. And the strategy that I have is you put the longer clips on Blip TV, which incidentally MNN has an agreement with, or on, well, we used to be able to put it on Google Video, but they've already changed that. They're no longer allowing video anymore, within maybe 2 months from now.
Google Video.
That's right.
But are they going to start a new thing with charging for it?
No.
Are you sure?
Not unless you got a gazillion bucks. They're not doing it. Google is no longer
Google Video. There's
Google
still going to be
Video
YouTube.
is
There's still going to have
no longer
YouTube.
allow you to upload videos.
That's because it all goes through YouTube, because Google owns YouTube.
Exactly. But Google, you could put an hour and a half, 2 hours on there, and up until now.
Oh.
All right, that they're taking that down, or they're leaving those videos up, but they're taking down that service. So you're no longer to be able to upload to Google Video. But there are other sites like Blip TV where you could put a lengthy video on it. So the strategy is that you put the lengthy video on Blip and have the video embedded onto your website, and have all of the smaller clips directing to your website so they get to see the full video. So that's what the strategy is. Yes.
How do you direct? I mean, if you have
putting a link. You put a link on your video
But I
on
post
YouTube.
on Blip, but I also post on YouTube separately.
Right. Well, but do you have the video embedded onto your website?
No, I cross-post to Blogspot. I have.
Well, you can put it on your blog. You can put it on your
I
blog.
have it on the blog and MySpace, but I don't know how you would. Like, I post the longer videos on Vio, which will host any amount of time in very good quality.
Vio.
The VEO.
Video is good, yes, but Vio at this point in time requires you to have an application on your computer which you have to download.
A beta player, which I'm having trouble with now, but the other one was fantastic.
Right, so that's the issues that I have with Vio, but Vio also gets indexed by the search engines very quickly. So Vio will show that you have a video on there, and they give you a link to show the full video, but you do need to have an application. That's not full cloud computing. All right, it's a JavaScript or ActiveX script.
But I have put up videos of a show I did on MNN on the dance parade. The whole thing, 28 minutes, went on Vio, and they play it without.
That's because you have on your computer already downloaded that application to view the entire video.
No, I'm talking about it will play just. You don't need to have the
All right,
player
and
to watch
it couldn't have been that long. I don't know.
Well, it was compressed, but it was 28 minutes.
All right.
But that's about as long as I put up with it. Most of them, I agree with you. If it's too big a file, they give you 5 minutes, and you have to have the player.
Exactly. But there are other sites where you can put your full video up, and what you do is you embed that onto your website, and basically the server takes all of the bandwidth, not you and not your website. All right, and yes.
What if you don't have a website? Do you do it
Then
anyway?
if you don't have a website, you create a MySpace page.
And can other people get to that?
Absolutely. In fact, that's indexed very quickly by the search engines. So if you have a MySpace, that's why all these kids who are budding musicians have a MySpace page, because it's indexed so quickly, and you could stick anything on the MySpace page.